VHS. We're diving deep in cheesy flicks. Yeah, we're on a vintage quest. Low reviews but high on laughs. Let's give these films a cheer. The cult classics, flops, and nuts. There are topics this year. We're the Ejectables, rolling back the years, celebrating movies that no one else cheers. From bad hairdos to epic fails, we say it's all good. We're the Ejectables, yeah, we're misunderstood.
Welcome to the Ejectables. This is the show where movie enthusiasts Bill, Joe, and Ian join forces with a weekly rotating guest to celebrate movies that we feel have been unjustly panned by the critics, or sadly ignored, or forgotten by audiences.
Aww.
Today's rotating guest is the one and only Jonathan Jacobson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
From my understanding, you grew up in Chester, Connecticut, and your parents owned a video store.
Yes, a legit mom and pop video store. Not a, so yeah, I'm a lot of 99-cent rentals helped put me through college.
Did you get free rentals yourself?
I did, but I had to earn my rentals. My brother and I, for like allowance, and early on, they'd have like the label maker. So they kept like the actual case below the desk, it was empty, was on. So once a week, my brother and I would have to type all the new labels for the new movies and not have any typos. So you'd go like one dial. I think I'm older than you guys, but it's like, there's this dynamo label maker. So you'd like, letter, click, spin, letter, click, and do like dozens of titles.
Even the porn films?
Oh yeah, those had pink labels. So it's like, so you wouldn't buy on the CT because they're all alphabetical behind the counter. So, and as you know, there are like one or two letters off from the real thing. So we had a color coded system.
Okay.
Oh, best parents ever.
Well,
your parents were like Parker Lewis can't lose. Parker Lewis's parents had a video store.
What did they?
That's an old reference. Yeah.
Well, I've lost plenty in life, so I think the analogy goes away. So.
Yeah.
I worked in video studio in Madison, Connecticut. Though
okay,
Did you know it?
Yeah, totally. There were like, my dad was, I think they were one of the earlier people, and they were like, had like, quote, like they kind of knew like other people who had stores. It was sort of like a good-natured trade thing. So we would totally like meet other people and go to other stores. I mean, when they first had it, they would rent the VCR. I mean, like no one had VHS. So my brother and I would like go to people's houses with these sort of like suitcases, and we would have like the Phillips head with the sort of TV game switch. Yeah, because you had to put it in the back of. There's no coaxial cable. People didn't have cable. Oh. So you had to attach a coaxial, with the two alligator prong thing. Yeah. So
Bill wasn't born yet.
No, I worked at Video Nights in Ramsey, New Jersey, but we didn't have the VCRs.
What years were that? I mean, I'm talking like 70. I'm talking like 79, 80. This is really early on.
The first people, he always liked Betamax.
Well, we used to have like the smaller, and everyone would be like, "What's the difference?" And I mean, that's a whole.
You had both.
You had to for a while, then you didn't. I mean, that's the dream. Hulu documentary, like all those air. Someone's got to do the beta VHS. Someone's got to do that documentary of like why the better, inarguable better format lost. Yeah, and we're all suffering for it.
Beta was better.
Oh my God, beta was hands down.
I didn't know
it was more expensive. It was. I mean, like there's a million reasons why it didn't take off, but beta is what like up until the early 90s, like newscasters would still use beta.
Oh, okay.
SP, for slow play, but like, or single, anyway, whatever the SP was. But no, beta was inarguable.
I didn't know that.
A better format.
So you, from the video store, you went on to make your own home movies, then on to NYU.
Yeah, really like very cliched journey. My parents had a video store, grew up around a lot of movies, making them with my friends.
That's awesome.
Went to Back then it was called Tisch, and went to school there. worked on a lot of like music videos and commercials while I was still in school.
Mhm.
I think I told Bill my big claim to fame was I worked on Larry Clark's Kids as craft services.
Cool.
And then, you know, I started working on music videos and commercials on weekends and summers. And then when I got out of school, I got a job at a record label working in their music video department for many years. And then I left in 99, 2000 to make my millions in the internet. That I didn't, you know, so rode that .bomb all the way up and down, but had a great time.
Good. That's all that matters.
Oh my God. Like one day you're getting like massages at work. Next day they're carting away the Xerox machines. So yeah, but a great time.
But you went on to write screenplays, or you always wrote screenplays, and not so long ago you sold one which got made. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So I've always been in production. That was my focus at school. And then I got out, and after leaving music videos, I did a lot of like producing short format. I did a lot of book trailers. Like this is like early days of the internet. And then I worked production and eventually became head of production at a production company, doing a lot of promos, network promos and things like that. And always been very hands-on, and then later in the production office. But I always wrote. Writing was fun because as a producer, your whole job is like, oh God, like how do I do this for the time and the money and this and that? But when you go home, you're like, the cavalry charged, and don't worry about anything.
Money.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the White House explodes, it melts, it, you know, whatever. So the writing was a sort of a fun creative outlet, and I was very fortunate that you know, the right person that I swapped scripts with had read one of my more ironically a really low budget movie I'd written. And he got it to the right couple of people, and then I got really lucky, and it came out in September. It came out right at the SAG strikes. So the star power that had so many sacrifices were made was for absolutely nothing. The Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, Maya Hawke, Joe, all that was for nothing because, you know.
What's it called? I don't think we said the name.
It's called The Kill Room. The
Kill Room. And can we find it?
Yeah, it's on, you know, it's all the major streamers for pay. And I think it's on, like, as far as freebies, I think it's on Pluto. I think it's free on Pluto.
Okay.
And it's still like a rental. Like, it's on all the platforms. It was on Stars for a while, so I don't know what kind of free platforms it's on anymore.
Do you get residuals? Does that?
Long story short, once it hits some number, it'll probably never hit. I get a very small percentage, but you know, maybe one day.
It's produced by my old roommate, Ann Clemens.
Yes, yeah. There was a really weird 6 degrees of IMDb with Bill. Yeah. So
and my old roommate, we shared an attic in Los Feliz together. Separate bedrooms.
Anne's fantastic. I mean, she's yeah.
You were addicts together? Is that what I understand?
No, addicts. No, in an attic.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Although if you were going to eat craft service, you probably wouldn't eat craft service on the set of Kids, though. Like, what was that consist of?
I took it seriously.
Look out for condiments there.
I know.
Every morning I'd go to the Cupcake Cafe to have like 2 Cambros, hot water and coffee, and it was basic. But yeah, I mean, all the crazy horror stories you can imagine were true. I mean, it was a crazy shoot, and I was really fortunate. Like, what was great was because when I was still in school and like, you know, early days of PAing and getting on sets, you would like, you know, read the Hollywood Reporter, what was in development, what was in production. There'd be a production company number with a fax number. You'd fax them your resume, and you'd be like, hey, I can drive. I'm a PA. Like, do you need people? And because I'd had this movie on my resume, people would be like, I just want to hear like come for an interview because we just want to talk about this crazy movie. So I was really lucky that I'd, you know, been on this project that was kind of infamous way before it even came out.
I can't believe it's craft service on Kids. You're blowing my mind.
It's right there. It's my first feature. My first feature credit was Kids.
Was heroin a part of it or something like that?
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, it was. I mean, apart from like Whippets, I didn't see anything. You know, truly illicit when cameras rolling. But it was just. I mean, like the cops came to set at times, and people got arrested at times, and
wow.
I mean, it was good craziness. So
that's fun.
Yeah.
It's a good call.
Again, I'm lugging around coolers of, you know, melting water up and down. It's like 1 million degrees out. We shot it, I think, in like end of July, early August, and it was and also like half the shoot was nights, so it's the crazy shoot.
Were there permits for that? Did you have permits?
I'm sure. I mean, it wasn't. It was killer. Well, I mean, I think by the way it ended up. I mean, it was Christine Vachon and Pam Koffler were on it, and I didn't obviously know who they were at the time. There's and then Gus Van Sant came on as some sort of EP later, but I wasn't privy. I mean, I came on really early, way before it shot. This guy Diesel and I would like go to Limelight and Tunnel with Polaroids. We'd like take photos of people and like get their information and like send them to the casting director.
I went to the Limelight. How come I was not in Kids?
You must have been there the wrong night. I would usually go Tuesdays for communion or Wednesdays for was it Disco 2000 or Disco? Anyway,
I think it was my turtleneck. I think I was wearing a turtleneck. I think that's why
I wore a lot of turtlenecks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, but it's funny because just like 6 or 7 years ago, I was doing this big promo for Fox, and it was on the show of Gotham, and we're like getting the tour of the set to sort of like plan out how we're going to do things. And I'm kind of staring at this guy who's like one of the line producers, and he was locations on Kids like a million years ago. So it's still like really
comes back.
Yeah. I mean, I was just really fortunate to be on something that turned into like to be a thing. And I mean, awesome. I was, probably the lowest of the paid totem pole there was.
I did a lot of PA work. I know that feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's actually funny because when I was on the set of The Kill Room, I saw this guy like with this little cart, not a mag line, there's like little wanky cart with like all these things. I'm like, oh, here, wait, buddy, let me help you with this.
We're nice, good.
I'm like, you can't not be nice to the PAs on set when you've been one.
They don't like that.
PAs don't like that?
The crews don't like it when you help them. Yeah,
I know. Well, it's also, I mean,
PAs don't mind.
I'm nice to everyone.
It was an instinct. You see, it's like you see a bunch of stuff about to fall off a cart and spill everywhere. You're just like,
I'm an actor. So anytime I see someone lugging something, I'm like, I should help you.
Dude, they don't like that. The crews don't like that.
They're like, that's my department.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't touch any, lights or stands, or I wasn't like touching the microphone. Is this guy with like a bunch of, I think he had like file boxes full of like Snickers miniatures. It was pretty,
wow.
Pretty DIY, not DIY, but it was.
6 of the PAs that worked on Click are now like major directors. I'm nice to everyone.
It's
you got to be nice.
I think it was someone was like, I've been in movies that have been produced by people who were PAs on other movies. I mean, like, 100%.
Yeah.
That's an important lesson to keep in mind.
Yeah. So
now, thank you, Jonathan, for joining us and being willing to celebrate an ejectable with us. Can you tell us what your choice for an ejectable is?
Tonight, I'm very proud to make the case for Hackers.
Hackers? Oh my God, we have the poster. What?
It's
2 versions.
The crap is Curiosity.
Hey! They don't make taglines like that anymore.
Wait, let me see that again.
They're
Boot up or shut up is also the good one.
Is that on? Oh, no, nothing on here. Okay.
So
So tell us about this movie. What is it about, and why do you think we should celebrate it?
Well, it came out in '95 at the cusp of a slew of sort of cyber movies that Hollywood was trying. Hollywood knew this is something, and it's like, how do we make this something? So it was like months after The Net and like Johnny Mnemonic and Strange Days. These are all movies that came out in like a 7-month period in 1995. So it's about this guy, Dave Murphy, who it's this great, really efficient, 1-minute backstory. When he was 11, that stayed in the front. So Lord Nikon, and they all have sort of handles and names. So when he's 11 years old, as a kid, he's a super genius hacker, and he hacks some bank and brings down financial ruin to the whole country. And he's forbidden from touching a computer till he's 18. And minute 2 of the movie starts, he's now 18. He's moved to New York with his mom, and he's entering high school. And his mom's like, all right, straight and narrow path, no more computers for you. Of course, he gets instantly involved with this gang of sort of elite, cool cyber hackers. And I'm gonna go off on a tangent, but one of the many things I love about this movie is its world building. This is just like nothing but amazing world building. So this isn't a high school movie of like they're the nerds or there's jocks. It's like everyone in this movie is a super cool, super smart, super stylish, super insane.
Like me in high school.
Yeah.
And college.
In college.
So he gets involved with this group of friends, loves this girl, pre-famous Angelina Jolie.
Never heard of her.
There. Pre-famous Matthew Lillard. Pre-Scream for him. I mean, there's definitely a great stacked cast. Mark Anthony has this sort of like walk on and
that's right.
Part. He's one of the FBI guys, so it's really great. So he has this sort of like good natured competition. Is sort of like he's like frenemies with Angelina Jolie because they're both these elite hackers. They have to prove they're better than each other. And there's this great subplot where there's this oil company and there's an evil CEO, Lorraine Bracco, and that's the play. So Penn Jillette is one of the minions, and to the right, Fisher Stevens is the Plague. So they have this plan to embezzle millions of dollars from this oil company and blame these hackers for doing it. And one of the hackers, to sort of prove his worth, had hacked into one of their computers, so they kind of like have his info. So they make him their patsy. So there's this great third act where they have to sort of like save the world, save their friend, get the girl, and rollerblade up Park Avenue in Manhattan during traffic by hacking all the streetlights. It's just, they're great set pieces in this movie. I don't know if that answered your question what it's about, but I love it.
Here's a clip.
Yeah.
Was that her top?
One-handed.
Difficulty rating 7. Wow. Burn.
Hey, you were sorry. I was checking out your fly laptop.
It's hyped, you know. You in the butter zone now, babe.
What is she doing in here?
Relax, Burn. He's my guest.
Burn. Your acid burn. You booted me out of OTV?
What?
I'm Crash Override.
You're the moron that's been invading my turf?
Whoa. Crash and burn.
Perfect clip. Sums up everything I love about this movie.
I loved this movie when it came out.
Oh yeah, I saw it in the theater. Great
Me
soundtrack too. I got to say, like probably one of the best '90s techno rave EDM before it's called EDM soundtracks ever.
If I had never seen this film before watching it this week, I don't know if I would appreciate it. It is a great time capsule for the mid '90s. To me, it feels like Pump Up the Volume meets War Games, sort of.
But those are both
and I
great
love
movies.
Pump
Yeah.
Up.
This I totally enjoyed it. It's high energy. Everyone's likable, having a good time. It's super cheesy in a way that I appreciate it.
It's funny because I think the ejectableness of this is it really got a lot of, it was thinking a lot of love when it came out because of the way the Cybering was sort of visualized. And what I think has kind of maybe aged better is this was like the net. It was just like close-ups of your computer screen and like a mouse clicking on something. And then this is also came out the year of like Johnny Mnemonic, where people are putting on helmets and it's crazy. Yeah. And this was just things that people could do, just visualized in ways that were maybe like not realistic. And there's this great scene where they're like using a phone to like they need to hide their signal while they're doing something. But in the movie, they like literally climb to the antenna of the Empire State Building to do it. So it's an example of like what they're doing makes total sense in the world, but it's cinematic in this really heightened reality way. And that scene in the bedroom, like the wardrobe, like the styling, the costuming, like everyone's like super quasi-futuristic, but not in an annoying way. And I love the scene where he's like puts on his glasses, has a little telescopic lenses on it. Like those tiny details of a character really elevate this movie to I think something special.
I think someone might be afraid by just looking at the clip or seeing the poster or seeing a trailer that it might be like Solar Babies, but it is 100% better than Solar Babies. If anyone knows what that is,
I wouldn't put that on the box to sell it to people, but like
it's not it cost $20 million to make, only made $7 million.
Yeah, it was definitely a flop. It's such a cliche to say ahead of its time, but Directed by Ian Softly, who, like a lot of mid-90s directors, came from a British music video commercial, theatrical.
He did Wings of the Dove, right?
Yeah, after he did Backbeat first, another kind of kind of a flop too. Then he did Hackers. Then he did Wings of the.
That's a good movie. Wings of the Dove.
Which is like a Merchant Ivory film, I think. Then he did K-Pax. So he's sort of diverse director. The writer sort of did a TV show after this, and he kind of nothing really happened to them, as according to IMDb. But I really view it as like a B-side to Real Genius, which is probably one of my favorite 80s movies. It's just super charismatic, very smart young people, kind of like unknowingly getting into this caper to save the world. And again, like what I love ensemble movies. I'm a sucker for a big cast. That's why it's funny with Bill did, your movie later, but I love ensemble films, and I think it allows you a level of play that I think a more traditional story structure doesn't get you. More wacky characters, maybe some throwaway characters, and Hackers definitely has that in spades. I mean, it's just like this really weird, motley crew of very fun characters.
And it doesn't lose focus of the main characters, which is nice because like the Marvel films, they have to give everyone their equal time. But this
100%.
is that bores the heck out of me. But this is just it's so much fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's the thing is it's when Bill talked about the podcast, I thought about movies that, is Hackers in the pantheon of cinema? No, it's a good movie, really well done, much better than it kind of should be. I'm sure much better than it was on paper. I'm sure the script was like, oh, let's get a cyber movie like everyone else. I think it's all the directing that really elevates it. But to me, it's one of those movies where because that world is so much fun, like every year I like want to hang out with those people again. Like,
and you
love Requiem for a Dream. I don't want to hang out with those guys ever again.
True.
Whereas Real Genius and Hackers and Breakfast Club, I mean, like movies where you just want to be in the room with these great fun characters. That's to me like what a good movie is.
I had the Laserdisc.
Were there any cool special features on it, or you beat me on that? I don't have a Laserdisc of it.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore, but I did have it because I love the movie that much. So this is a really good pick. Bill, what do you think?
I love the cinematography. It's luscious. It has that that distinctive style of the early 90s, mid 90s. My only issue with the movie is because I live in the Pacific Northwest now. In the beginning, when the FBI raids the house, it's obviously New Jersey. It's not Seattle.
I'm gonna roll my eyes at that one, Bill. I'm sorry. If that's your one critique of the movie.
This is Wayne, New Jersey. And then I did work with Penn Jillette, and that was tough to see on the big screen because he was not the greatest guy in the world. And not the best actor, but everyone else is great. Jenny Lee Miller is awesome. My girlfriend, I was watching him. My girlfriend's like, Matthew Lillard is such a nut. I love him. How crazy? He's like Brando level crazy.
I mean, good for him.
Serial killer. I mean, it's such a great character. He nails it. I mean, like the cast is perfect. It's also just a really, it's before there was maybe like necessarily focus on it. It's totally like multi-ethnic, and there's a really vibe of,
and it wasn't forced. It was like,
that's what I'm saying. It's
high school.
It's such this, but I think that's again going back to the world building, like the club that they roller skate to, and there's this great scene on the way to the club. They're like people on the street selling like, hey man, I got this Russian hard drive, and hey man, like it's like there's a street fair of like weird technology. Like there's someone clearly spent the time to think of every minute of this movie. And like have it be this world that that's not like what hacking's like, but I don't care because I want it to be like that.
It's believable. Like it looks like it looks real, but it feels real, but looks fake. With that famous Roger Ebert line. I don't care about that. It's not specific to the world of hacking. I care about the characters more. I care about their dynamics. And they get into the story pretty well. And to shoot in New York, I mean, they shot the entire thing in New York City. It's crazy.
A great New York film. And it's also, I think it's like an hour and 45 minutes. It's like a real lean. There's a lot going on.
Moves.
There's a lot of character. Let's say we're joking about like the 1 minute backstory. It's like there's a flashback to a court scene, and then minute 2, okay, I know who this guy is. And minute 4 or 5, he's like, oh, and here's everyone else in this movie.
Do you see that was Felicity Huffman as like the lawyer at the beginning?
It's like this is a crazy.
When it was supposed to be Seattle, when it's New Jersey.
What? Did you know Ferris Bueller's house is not in Chicago? It's in
Long Beach, but there's no palm trees. There's no house in Seattle that looks like Wayne, New Jersey. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. My only gripe, and this is probably lame, I felt that Fisher Stevens was kind of miscast.
Really?
Yeah, just kind of, I don't know. Who am I to judge? Well, but I was like, wow, he's...
Meaning you think he's bad, or just sort of like you...
Normally I like him, but it felt like he playing like I'm the bad guy. It was a bit much.
I think that's right. That's where, and again, it's so subjective. I think I think that's kind of what probably turned off a lot of people is its theatricality. Like there's a scene where Fisher Stevens sort of like has this like midnight meet with Dade, and he's literally like, it's actually in Dumbo, Brooklyn, but it's this like cobblestone smoky street, and like he's on his skateboard being like holding the back of a limo, like pulling him. Yeah, it's like ridiculous. But what I'm getting at is his character so over the top because he's the villain. He's this James Bond wants to destroy the world, or it's a Bond movie. He's I'm going to destroy the world or pay my ransom. And I think that he played it in this Bond villain over the top way.
Yeah.
If it was made now, they'd just be these sorts of like cold crypto bros who only care about money, but like these are villains. It's a movie.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I get your point, but I feel like I think the reason why I wanted to put it on your show was, to me, it's an ejectable because what people initially saw as negatives, I'm like, that's the beauty of this movie. Like that's the swing that this director took. And admittedly missed it with the audience in 1995. It has a cult following, but I proudly think it's a cult movie not among cinema people. It's like a cult movie about kind of like, nerdy pop culture people as opposed to like, like I'm going to watch, this, Eisenstein, I'm going to watch Solaris. I'm going to go watch, Hackers. It's like, it's not like that.
No. I had no gripes with it back then. I was like, wow, this is so fun. This is just so different. And I don't know. It came out like same time as Seven, right? Around that time?
I think so. Yeah. It was mid-90s were such a great, amazing time. It came out after Sneakers, which is like a great little movie. I
love that movie.
But I'm saying is, like, it's a different movie. It's like before Hackers, it was like Tron or Sneakers. Like I'm either at a real computer that I could buy in a hardware store, or it's like Magicville. Yeah. And I think Hackers there's so many things in it that are like totally magic, weird hyperrealism. Like the server room where the bad guys hang out and like these towers. It's ridiculous, but it's like, I know what it is. It's just a much cooler version than I know it is.
And I guess at the time they didn't use any CGI. I don't know if that means they made models or what, or.
Yeah. It's probably like Max Headroom of like probably spinning. I didn't do enough of a deep dive to know about the CGI or non-CGI. There obviously, maybe there had been some sort of.
Well, in that aspect, it didn't look super dated watching it now.
It ages so much better, I think, because they aimed so high and maybe kind of again swung and missed at the time. I think it ages better than it almost like if you watched, Lawnmower Man now, which probably had a huge budget compared to this. You're probably like, oh God, this is
5 years later that
pretty bad.
Yeah.
Whereas just this, even taking away the cyber aspect of it, it's just a tight, good little movie. Like there's a real fun, battle of the sexes between him and Angelina. Like, they're both super smart. They're both, super talented. They have this legit kind of hatred of each other because they're both, alphas. They both want to be elite, is the phrase they use. And again, like every character serves a purpose. It's like a heist movie. That third act, it's like, Lord Nikon is a photographic memory, so he's the one who delivers flowers and he memorizes everyone's password. Yeah. But it's like a heist movie. It's like it's a really well constructed movie that because it flows so fast and it's so loose and light and easy, you just don't appreciate, like, this is a really well constructed. I mean, does it make like, oh yeah, like this tanker is going to immediately tip over and destroy the world? I mean, you know, not. But the point is, while you're watching it, it's like clockwork. I think it works so well.
Awesome.
That was fun.
Thanks for letting me sit on my soapbox.
No, thank you. Thank you for your choice.
Oh, please.
Ian,
Thanks for the opportunity.
Ian, what was your pick?
So I picked Steven Spielberg's first theatrical release, Sugarland Express. And it's his lowest grossing film he's ever. What? Do it again. It's his lowest grossing film to date. And it was his only film, though, to win an award at Cannes, which shocks me.
Wow.
Doesn't that seem
What
strange?
did it win?
I don't even know.
Okay.
I didn't dive that deep. But this is a story.
Best Texas accent.
Best slow moving car chase.
That could be it. There's a couple of crashes, though.
Yeah,
but for me, this is a movie I didn't see until probably my late 20s because I'm like, oh, that's an old movie. It's not going to be like Empire of the Sun or Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's going to be dated and look horrible or whatever. But this is a story about this couple who Goldie Hawn plays this woman who breaks her husband or boyfriend, William Atherton, who we know from Ghostbusters and Die Hard. She breaks him out of this minimum security jail so they can win back custody of their young child from the state. And
which is probably not the way to do it if you wanted custody of your
Well, I think
dog.
he also has like a couple months left of this.
Yeah, he's
about to get out.
Yeah. And so things go, I'll just show you. I went to this. So last year there was this 50th anniversary. You were maybe there, 50th anniversary of this film at Tribeca, and Steven Spielberg was there for it. And he talked a little bit about where he found out the idea for this. I'll just play you a quick clip if you guys don't mind. Here.
I mind.
I was living in the Valley near Universal Studios, and I subscribed to a small Valley paper called the Citizen News. And I went to get the paper one morning, and the headline of the paper was Modern Day Bonnie and Clyde. And it was the story of this couple in Texas, Bobby and Isla Faye Dent.
Now, this movie, it got great reviews. People, the reviewers loved it, but the audiences never latched onto it because they wanted to see Goldie Hawn in a funny role. And then they realized this is pretty dramatic and kind of heavy stuff as the film goes along. And initially they were planning for, I guess, a fall release or a November release, but they were afraid to go up against The Sting. So they pushed it to February, and they were going to have a release where they, do it in a couple of theaters, build word of mouth. But instead they just released it in a ton of theaters all at once, never built that word of mouth. And it made a profit, but a very tiny one. It did not deliver. So that's why it's an ejectable. I think it's one of his best films. It's up there with the best of them. And it's funny. It's action packed. It's sad and dramatic. Great performances by Hawn and Atherton and all the supporting characters. Can we have one more clip and then I'll get your guys' thoughts on it?
Yeah. Love it. Let's do it.
Here's a clip from the film, if I can find it. Here.
Hey, have you ever seen a picture, baby Langston? Ain't he sweet?
Yeah, fine looking boy. Now,
I took that picture.
It's a fine looking picture. This here's my ma and pa horse and Maverick slide.
Hey, you got your pa's eyes. Who's that there standing next to?
My boat. I was in the FFA.
Who's that, your girlfriend?
No, that's my old girlfriend, Donna. I still got the cycle.
What's that?
No, give me that. That's mine.
What's that? Is that you?
I miss that Spielberg, that kind of naturalistic conversation Spielberg we don't see so much of anymore. What'd you guys think of this, Jonathan?
Wasn't that big a fan. I'd seen it a long time ago, and I remember seeing it no, I think I saw probably I rented it at Kim's Video or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember specifically seeing it oh wow, Steven Spielberg's first movie. So admittedly viewing it from probably an unfair lens. Mm-hmm. I just rewatched it over the weekends, coincidentally.
What?
it's got so many great moments, and you could without a doubt see the craft. I mean, like so many literal shots that you know and love in movies later, and the construction of the car chase, and like this great scene. I remember looking at a few notes, like when the cars are going by, like every time the window passes, it like kind of punches in on these troopers. I mean, there are these great moments, and when she's like all the bits with the rearview mirror, like seeing Goldie Hawn and through the reflection, through the the cops driving, and she's in the rearview mirror. These really amazing. Specifically, too, I remember there's this shootout, and it kind of cuts to this kid kind of holding his ears. It's so early Spielberg, but I think ultimately the reason why I just couldn't get into it is I found tonally it's just like too all over the place in the sense of it's like one or the other. The clip that you showed is so fun and light and wacky, and it has that Bonnie and Clyde fun devil may care, two crazy kids gonna make it happen. And then it's like they cut to this like 10-minute scene of him like talking to the snipers. Like there's nothing funny and light about the cops, I think, in the way it's done.
Yeah.
And it's like there are some visuals that are kind of funny, like when they all kind of sort of get their gas, but it's such a weird, like I'm trying to make a joke out of this scene when you haven't portrayed anyone in the law with all the lightness that you have these people. And while I'm watching it, I kept on thinking this is like a Coen Brothers movie that's hitting, that's missing every mark though.
But you're right.
This is why the Coen Brothers are so good at what they do, is because like Raising Arizona is exciting, kind of a little scary when it needs to be scary. People are villains and they need to be villains, but like they're not so villainous that you're not also kind of half smiling when you're seeing it happen. And I don't think what was he, 25, 26 when he made this movie. So I'm not at all being all, isn't, but just objectively talking about it as a movie is, I don't think he threads the needle of all the different things he's juggling. And
it's big. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. And it kind of like, it's sort of like, it kind of wants to have this like momentum of like the third act of the Blues Brothers, where it's like all this crazy car chase and like all this stuff's happening.
I've never seen it.
It's just,
sorry, Bill.
Okay. Well then, wow. Okay. The whole train derailed there. Okay. But Bill, do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
yes. I mean,
the last 40 minutes of the Blues Brothers, I think, is like one long car chase that just gets bigger and bigger. And I mean, big in a ridiculous like way. You'll have to see to believe.
That's the comic premise, every time you think you can't
but it's
get
like this slow, like it's literally a car chase so they run out of gas, and that sounds funny when you say it, but for some reason it's not funny to me. It's just slow, like it's just I don't like and also I remember we're watching it, it almost had like no music in it.
John Williams' score was like it was a little twangy.
Yeah, but it just doesn't have any energy. I was shocked at like the lack of energy.
Oh, I felt I respect your opinion. I felt the opposite. I was like, oh, this is so fun. My son went with me to this Tribeca thing, and he loved it. And he's young, so I'm like, all right, that's cool. But
what was awesome about it? There's so many shots in it that if you took a still shot of it, it's a work of art. It's crazy.
When you're watching the Roadrunner or the Drive-In.
Yeah,
I mean, those are, you can frame those. What was it, Vilmos Zsigmond?
Yeah, and I wonder why.
It's gorgeous.
Why, besides Close Encounters, did he stop working with them? It's really strange. It's one of the most beautifully shot movies I've ever seen. Even the RV park and stuff like that. Yeah. Even when they're sitting, everything is a work of art. It's absolutely beautiful. And they're doing shots, continuous take in 1972 or 73. It's like crazy. Yeah, 74. It's that's like, I mean, the guy was a genius. It was crazy. I mean, 24, 25. I didn't even know how to do laundry, and he's doing like a rotating shot.
Yeah, would never say it was not craft. I mean, it was impeccable craft. Like I said, it just was an energy, and it kind of goes back to like, it's physically moving very fast, but for me, it's not like emotionally moving very. Like I'm not moving fast with it. If that makes sense.
Interesting.
You're not along the journey, but you're looking. But you're not along for the journey with the characters. But it is very good looking. William Atherton was great. You know,
He's
before
so
he
good.
started playing roles. Goldie Hawn. I mean, I thought she was from Texas. She was unbelievable. All the periphery characters are hilarious. It's actually funnier than 1941 because when Spielberg did 1941, I was like, when did Steven get funny? But he wanted to piggyback off the Blues Brothers, and there's not one hilarious joke in that movie at all, except for one actually racially insensitive joke. But there's the scene where the people that they got hijacked, the cop makes them stay on the road. That's hilarious. That's so not a typical Spielberg moment. I was like, where did this Spielberg go and stuff like that?
Yeah.
You know,
He hired, I guess, a lot of local actors, even non-actors, to be in this film.
And that scene with the parade is hilarious. Like, I wonder, like that was crazy.
And the pig actually peed on her.
Yeah, that's why
it was real.
And she did it in character.
Yeah.
That's,
I guess my son said she looked at the camera, but I didn't notice when that happened.
Great. Yeah. You can tell that he was going to be one of the greatest directors of all time.
Yeah.
You know, and the guy so his partners that wrote it, one of them rewrote E.T. and never got credit. I don't know if it's Robbins or back in the day and stuff like that. And Ben Johnson. Oh my God, Ben Johnson's the best part of the movie.
He was great.
He's so unbelievable. I mean, he could say he can convey a single emotion with just a look. It's unbelievable.
You know, it's funny though when you mention that because like everyone's so great in it, but and again, I keep wanting to do disclaimer. I'm not at all saying it's a bad movie. You know,
what a jerk.
Yeah, Stephen O. But somebody like Richard Linklater, like they have that feel of like, you know, everyone's real, everyone's got this developed backstory, and I'm sympathetic to everyone while they're on the screen, even if they're sort of like not someone that the protagonist is not supposed to like. And whether it's something like Bernie or it's like I keep going back to the cops, like everything, like some of those scenes are played with such gravitas. They're like and like when they try to do something funny, like move the big vase out of the way of the windows because the snipers are gonna like do it. Like that should be a really funny, weird beat, and it's just kind of.
I know, but it's not in him. He's not like.
There's a reason why he hasn't made. I mean, like as great a filmography as this guy has, there's a reason why Steven Spielberg, you never think comedy.
I like the weight of that counterbalance between the lightness and the humor, because they haven't done anything really bad, but the cops think they have. They're like, these are criminals. So I like that difference. I don't know. It worked for me.
Yeah. But he's not self-referential like Richard Linklater. But then he tried to do the Newton Boys. I don't know if you like that. That was horrible. And
you can say that's his Sugarland Express.
But Bernie's one of the best movies in 2010s. I mean, that's a perfect ejectable. Oh my God, that movie's a masterpiece.
Which movie?
Bernie.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
I mean, Richard Linklater. It's like you're always like, oh my God, he's done so many movies. He's actually probably one of my rotating 5 favorite filmmakers, just on risks and diversity of work. But I go back to him because he's somebody that I think, I mean, again, Texas and just she's so much of his work is like seeped in that kind of vibe. But or again, like I think the Coen Brothers, even though they're not from the South, but it just, I think they have that wackiness down, and maybe it's a subjective thing. I just wanted it wackier than it was.
Yeah, because the true story is wacky, but then he's not that type. He's an operatic filmmaker. He's not like a perverse type of filmmaker. He tries to go perverse in 1941, like 1941 is a black. Even Robert Zemeckis goes, "This is a black comedy," and then instead they just made it into a monstrous like headache of a movie and stuff like that. He just doesn't get it. But for a first movie, it's really interesting. Yes, if the Coen Brothers did it, if Linklater or or even like who did Charlie Barrick? That director would have been awesome. But he was stretching out. Thank God for Vilma Zsigmond though. It was perfect.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was all. I mean, I almost hear myself say it's my complaints. It's almost too good. Like, this should have been barbecue served on a paper plate with like a cold Bud beer, and I'm like kind of getting this elegant 5-course taste, like 10-course chef's tasting menu of like the little delicious, much better quality steak, but I just kind of want to eat this. I mean, I don't know if that made any sense. So like,
Yeah, no, it did.
Yeah,
I just feel like it wasn't packaged in its entirety. And there's always the expression I get wrong, but it's like the sum of its parts were greater. You know what I'm getting at.
We're with you.
When you talk about individual moments, you're like, this movie's amazing. But when you watch it in real time, I'm like, all these moments are great, and yet I'm not really into this movie.
You see the Spielberg that we got in the next 10, 15 years, next 20 years. It's all there.
Yeah.
And maybe it didn't come together perfectly. I mean, for me and my son, we adored it, but
that's great.
Yeah.
Ahead of his time.
Ahead of his
the cliche
like
says.
Hackers.
Yeah.
There you go.
Bill, are we ready to move on to your film? What is that?
It's Passed Away. It's a comedy from 1991. Hollywood Pictures. It's written by Charlie Peters, who is a pretty significant comedy writer. He had a couple bombs right before Her Alibi and Hot to Trot. I think he wrote Blame It on Rio, which I'm sure doesn't do well in this day and age. But still pretty funny, if you get past it. It involves a family that is in Pittsburgh, and their father, the patriarch, James, Warden? What's his name? I forget.
Jack Warden?
Jack
Warden, yeah. He dies. They were the first movie to do the opening shot of him passing away, and everyone stole it. The movie was dead on arrival. I mean, I don't think they even really. I think he barely even made $1 million.
Wow.
And it's such a good movie. It has one of the funniest jokes I've ever seen in films ever. The scene when they're in the limo and the mom said, if he shot the sheriff, who shot the deputy? It was so hilarious.
And it comes out of nowhere. That is so, that line.
It has a star-studded cast. It has
insane cast.
Nancy, Maureen Stapleton's the one that does it. So it's Bob Hoskins, Blair Brown, Tim Curry, Francis.
Oh, sorry,
McDormand,
you're reading.
William Peterson, utterly charming, totally different role than To Live and Die in L.A. And then be the Hawthorpe father.
It was much more like his Manhunter role, though.
No, stop it. Pamela Reed, so awesome, totally underrepresented, and Nancy Travis, who would do Married an Axe Murderer later. Tim Curry is so great in the movie as well, and Tim Curry, one of the nicest guys in Hollywood ever. So he goes up there with Jeff Goldblum.
He hitched a ride with us from the airport once.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good story.
What?
Yeah, it was like the holidays. My wife worked with him on this show, and it was really packed at the airport. And he and his partner cut in line with us. They're like, "Do you mind if we get in here?" And my wife's like, "Sure, come on over, Tim." And then I guess they canceled our flight, and so we're like, "Oh, we can get a flight in Long Beach." So from LAX to Long Beach, we shared a cab or a van. I forget what it was, and it was interesting. But he was funny and nice, and he took advantage of us to get in our cab.
Did he pay for it?
I don't remember.
He's one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. This is crazy. He lives in Los Feliz. Oh my god!
Oh really?
I hope he paid for it. That's crazy.
He probably did. I don't remember. I just remember he cut into line with us, and there were a ton of people behind us, like, oh, not happy.
Anyway, so it follows the 3 days that happens after their father dies. It's about a family that's dysfunctional. The young Terry Polo's in it. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Totally bombed. DOA on arrival. But there's such good stuff in it. I miss movies like this. This would never get made in a billion years. And the fact that Hollywood Pictures, Walt Disney Company made it. So the philosophy at the time in the 90s was Katzenberg, he only wants singles and doubles. So if you make enough movies that are singles and doubles, you get your money back. But then they started bombing really bad, like this, Cemetery Club, all these movies. Sometimes they wouldn't even release them. They'd go straight to video. And I worked in a video store. I always had fond memories of it. There's such good stuff in it. It's hard for me to say, like, it's bad, so.
Here's a wee clip of it if you want to see.
Yeah, let's do it.
Stay tuned.
Well, if you'll excuse me for a moment, I'll let you two ladies talk. I've got to take a leak.
Jeez, what's he doing? He's gonna take a shit.
So good. What'd you think, Jonathan?
I liked it. It's just one of those things, and I know I'm coming across like this total curmudgeon. I'm shocked that you would see it like it's the kind of movie I liked, but like I wouldn't think to see it again like a second time. I did like it a lot, and it's one of those movies where going back to like the people, ensemble films, the people you want to hang out with, like I would never call this, in my opinion, a good movie, but everyone in it is so good that I just loved hanging out with them for the whatever hour and 45 minutes of this movie. I couldn't unfortunately buy in. I didn't ever once believe anyone in this movie was related to each other. Like,
you don't see Bob Hoskins and William Peterson as brothers?
Yeah. His accent was like in and out there.
I was like,
oh, I'm gonna cut down some Cheerio.
Yeah. I was joking so because I was like, it was the most perfectly miscast movie ever, in the sense of they actually took the high road of who are the best actors we can get, and no one's thinking, oh, they're all related, in biologically. But it was so much fun. It was weird. They would never make. You're right. They would never ever make this movie ever now. But what is weird, and I did have a hard time with, is it has this like really kind of like what should be high stakes, but treated like an afterthought. This whole thing with Bob Hoskins going to leave his entire family and change his whole life, which movie starts off with, this guy's gonna do that, and then it like abandons this plot because they have a million other things to get into, and then they occasionally pick it up, and it's this whole like, I love my wife, but I'm not gonna. It's like it kind of never really, in my opinion, figured this big thing out. Which is
they did. The father had the secret to life, and that's family, and so that's what I loved about it. And it's uncomfortable and it's awkward, and it's like, it's ballsy because now you can't pretend like that people are not flawed. The entire family's flawed. I can't believe how funny William Peterson was. I had he had such crazy comic chops as well.
Everyone is so. I mean, Peter Riegert. I'll like local heroes. If I'm ever asked, my number one movie it's always Local Hero. But everyone's so good in it, and it's such a cheesy thing to say, but they all look like they're having such a fun time making it, and that's such a cliche, but it's true. Like this just looks like a blast, even though it's about it's about this loss. So yeah, I would definitely say I liked it. I would see it again, but I need a few years, multiple years,
another decade,
a few beers.
Did you watch it when it came out? You never watched it when it came out.
I never heard of it. I usually pride myself on like knowing movies, but it is funny though because we've all worked at video stores. The minute I went on Amazon and I saw the poster, I was like, I've seen this on the shelf a million times. And there is that sweet spot of movies where it's like that stacked cast in a row. They usually have like an and or featuring at the very bottom, and this was one of them. So I'm gonna say
I got to be honest, Jonathan. I was trying to pay back Ian because of his last couple picks. And so I was trying to think of a movie that he would despise and hate. And so that's why I picked it. I'm going to be really honest.
Okay. I saw this at the movie theater when it came out. Again,
you didn't remember a single word.
I didn't remember a word of it. And then I'm like, I remember I saw Greedy as well, which is the film he chose like last week or the week before. And that was so painful for me to rewatch. I'm like, oh my God, this is so not funny. Everyone's all over the place. And so when I went in to go see Passed Away, and you look at this poster, you're like, oh, this is going to be awful. It's going to be like
this is bomb photo.
The poster does the movie a disservice.
Yeah,
I think they all took
clips of
people. I think they took clips of people from different movies, and they use a scissor and Scotch tape, and they put it together.
It looks terrible.
Yeah.
So when I went in to watch it this week, I'm like, I watched it first. I'm like, I'll get the worst over with. And I really liked it. I think because it doesn't go for, it's not uproarious like the poster.
The one quote it has.
It doesn't go for the predictable. And because it was a Bill pick, and because I thought it was going to be greedy, I thought the dad was going to come alive at the end. Like, yes, he didn't.
I got Laurel Gans and Babaloo Mandel behind me for greedy. So, dude, come on.
If they had a bad day or bad year, but this it's so sweet and charming. The chemistry, like you said, no one looks alike, but the chemistry is so good between these actors. They're having a nice time. Everyone gets their own moments. There's really nice, small, gentle, tender moments, somewhat moving moments for a movie about someone that passes away. Unlike Greedy, no one really feels bad. Everyone's mean to each other. They actually care about
Greedy is a broad comedy.
Guys,
that's other episodes. Okay, let's
sorry.
Thank you, Jonathan.
I'm still shell shocked from that episode.
For those of us who've only tuned in now, we're talking about Passed Away.
Oh wait, my dog's caught in my mic cord. Oh, sorry. I thought it's super charming, and I recommend it. It's very sweet.
Yes. So, all right. So, Jonathan, we come to the point where you have to pick a movie. You can't pick your own. Which movie do you pick between Sugarland Express or The Exquisite Passed Away?
Pick meaning, and I should have done my homework. Pick meaning like I'd see it again, or like
you're holding two over the side of a cliff, and you have to let one fall to its death. Which one do you save?
Oh, I Passed Away is getting passed off. I would definitely pick Sugarland Express over Passed Away.
Ian?
Yeah.
This is hard. Okay, I'm going to go with Present Me. Present Me, I don't think I would dig. Hackers really loved it in the day, and I think it was a very good pick for this show. But Passed Away in my present life, understanding loss and family and stuff, Passed Away is a lovely little surprise. Passed Away.
And I'm going to pick Sugarland Express.
Ooh.
So, Ian, you win the Employee of the Month, Akeem, for outstanding performance on effort.
Thanks. I feel good. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us.
This was a blast. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Stay around after the credits, and we'll say goodbye. And please like and subscribe and
comment,
comment,
and share.
Yes.
Yeah,
only good comments though. Thank you.
Whatever, I'll take anything.
Okay, bye guys.
Pop the popcorn, grab a Coke, and find that old V8.